Good morning to everybody. In this video, we're gonna talk about the security in general, the plan about the Middle East, and invading peacekeeping mission. During this video, we're gonna highlight some about the responsibility to the soldier of the peacekeeping mission would have, and some question about the life of the civilians, which of course will be involved in fighting, as without vagging bullets, etc., etc. But we don't want to unrest too much about the fighting, think about solving it peacefully. So I think that we're gonna have to have a big brain for this video. We're gonna Good morning for everybody. Let's talk about the video of the war in the Middle East and about Gandhi. Oh, this is nice. Or we don't think that this is real. Peace must mean many things. Legitimate rights for Palestine, real security for Israel, but it must begin with something even more basic. Mutual recognition, seeing people who are different. We want there being profound differences as people. For sure. About researchers and unrest, we can arrest apparently Gandhi and Nelson Mandela, which was some of the most informal men in this universe, one talk using their art to the people, combining it with the power of their mind, would stop the warfare pacifically. But however, we cannot do that because we are human. However, if you will not have a responsible governor which will unrest the peacekeeping mission peacefully, we will lose the recognition and the respect that we had since the first video that we did. Or we believe that the war is the best thing for the Middle East, as the only language that they speak is the violence. But I'm not completely concerned about that. I only think that apparently if you're gonna join up all the forces in a single big force, the people gonna be scared, ashamed, and timiding you. They are gonna have timor of you. You're gonna respect, recognition in the community in general. But however, we don't gonna rest about that because we are not really concerned about what is coming after that, which is really gonna be the position. In order to do that, we will need to arrest better equipment, like for example, trying to understand the people of the Middle East and destroying all their misbelief with a sort of argumentation. Or this video gonna send to a world walkthrough through why you should choose the rebellion instead to stand to the door of Zionism and Hamas, which is really some of the baddest things in this world, which completely ruined the world how do we know it. The Freedom Flotilla is really one of the baddest missions ever, but we don't want to rest about that, and we are sure Tehran will do really nothing about it. So for the left and for the right, it's time to raise a center peacekeeping mission, a center peacekeeping mission with the support of any neighboring state and any company and entity as possible. For example, maybe Pepsi, and then okay, we can arrest it for a mission and pass to the allowed guerrilla. The guerrilla, of course, is not a total guerrilla. So practically, if we didn't gonna have recognition, we didn't gonna send their combatter to die. But however, if you want to really die, at least die looking for recognition and don't kill civilians, which is of course a bad thing to do. Then how we're gonna do the revolution if we're gonna kill all the civilians? You don't think? I think that we must unrest a lot about that. But however, there are way better arguments we must unrest. Like for example, the argument that the people want insurrection worldwide for what they are doing, in Gaza. This is a talk, but all true. It isn't. It isn't. It isn't Nazi revolutionary. It could be really extremist, but of course we don't want to genocide the Jews. Or about genociding the Jews, we despise from American the genocide that we committed, except if the Jewish don't go oppose us with full force. If they're gonna oppose with full force, we're gonna retire full length the coalition to destroy the Zionism and Hamas, which because of course there are all extremists, apparently the extremists is majority, but we're gonna isolate those places and cut the humanitarian funding. You will never know if they will use the sources that you give them to attack you. So I think that we must stop the funding to the Middle East, except humanitarian, which of course could help even to start a revolution. I think that we start the revolution by attacking the strategic places, like compromising the radio antennas, grabbing refinement sources, attacking the Cape, the Cape, which to keep hostages, the lieutenant to the counter-revolution, which will give us many information to win about the war. We are authorized any sort of interrogatory, and we take the responsibility for all tortures that eventually will happen in the Middle East. But we don't want to torture the people. We want to permit that any torture will be authorized due to a process. So if the torture were authorized, maybe it isn't probably a torture at the front that I'm taking responsibility of. And at any rate, if my soldier will do it, they will entitled to take responsibility. But don't turn it around. If I want to send solidarity in the Middle East, which I surely will send, if I'm gonna become big and the extremists gonna still spread, we're gonna make interrogatory a cutting out. Rainforest interrogatory, because at any rate there are war criminals everywhere and there are precious information to the Mossad deciding. Not telling that we go against the Mossad, but is the first target to it to start the anti-Zionist revolution. I openly oppose the Mossad because I want to have more fame as possible, and of course we want to start the revolution if they will arrest me, because by now we became a dangerous target and we became object of many shots. Or we believe that if they do something similar to the Middle East, the insurrection is the minimal thought to arrest the argument of the diplomacy, which is certainly the best choice for the Middle East, where people can live coexist with each other, all through one another, we like each other, and we overcome with democracy and with diplomacy over anything to want to destroy the Middle East, except humanitarian emergency like other extremist organization, sex criminal, or eventual virus, which we don't know what will come about. If the military would solve it, then okay. If the paramedic would solve it, there's not a thing that the military will have to worry about. But while we can arrest a paramedical corps in the tent as possible, which will also be monitored paramilitary access to until they will be in warfare. So I think that all humanitarian effort must be concerned about war. And if we will take effort about concern about war, we will still take it to care people. So I really don't see why we shall oppose the non-concerned effort about caring. The medical resources are the most important thing for the warfare, so I think that we must have it. But however, some question will come after we will overtake Israel about the civilian deaths, which are of course a thing that we don't address. We don't address the civilian death because the civilian death are some among the greatest problem in a war because I think they use support because the family cry and nobody want to go against that. But in fact, about the family crying, Israel is killing a lot of civilians in Gaza, and they martyrize the combatter and make the hero. Why we continue to die for the combatter as a thing that is secondary, but also of maximal importance and unsottovalutabile. And unsottovalutabile. Well, we are prefer the civilian between the combatants because there are more civilian than combatants and they will eventually become combatants if the combatants will die. So if the combatants are massacred the civilians, guys don't act like as if they are combatants. Although despite they are combatants, they have to be killed. Stuff like the extremism of the radical left about the combatant is only one of the baddest extremists ever because I think the object the human rights and they do the impossible to impede another spread of a civil war in the Middle East, which will surely destroy the extremists in order to it is right now seen by me, which we don't organize where it's a bad thing to do to study the extremists. But in fact, we denies it and pose it as a failure of the humanity to impose to the extreme remedial to the war, which at the end is total docility, which is employed by human error point about don't hunting animal instead of human, which in fact born by capitalism, which we don't object because there were problem of sources at the time. But I can understand it to happen sometime, like not multiple time. Even if the server, for example, when you're playing a game like Call of Duty, and you must kill the terrorists. Okay, if you are engaging a fight with another player, but just if the train impose you, or else if this is the scrap, if they rob you the weapon, if they're toxic. But in this case, nobody's toxic here. Everybody wanna live, and everybody has his weapon. The server of Call of Duty in this DMZ is full of people. There are than 7 billion. So why we don't coalesce to share active and save their sources? Because of course there are problem with sources, but this don't mean nothing. We can either go to colonize other planet and killing other being, which however is a bad thing because we don't want to kill being. But we could profit of the fact that we are human to colonize the universe. Is a thing interesting far, but where is a chance there is a chance there is reality will happen in a further future. But nothing is impossible, nothing the thing is the only option except predicting each other. But why we give a lot of sources and invest already about the Middle East. So I think that we must is for the rocket to the Middle East. Destroying of the extremist combatants and the combatants which want to rob the sources to the civilians. So I think they don't turn it around. If I will send soldiers to the Middle East, it will be either a war of opinion, a war of sources, a war of intermilitarism, which we will counter, especially technically, which will come spontaneous after all the things that they do. And if we make us about it, if one of the enemy governor could have an heart attack, we will just joy, honestly, because they are just bastards and they only need to die. We can do nothing about it. Hamas is bastard, Sion is bastard, Hezbollah is bastard. Neither will I, the communists, the fascists, the front of God, all of the faction are extremist faction which kill the civilians, not respect the woman, and neither abuse a baby. Not to tell too much, but we don't yet know the last thing that we told. If they abuse a baby, there will be no mercy. we only hope to the people join us, and this is why we want to start the offensive in the Middle East. At any rate, the Middle East is some of the greatest land of conflict which had ever happened to have existed in this world. Just in Saudi Arabia, there will be about two conflicts ongoing. One conflict about the capital, if the movie or Mecca, Medina, or etc. About Riyadh, I mean. And one conflict ongoing are already now in Medina about extremist faction constant to the rise, leading Muslims. Excuse me. Or there are other factions like the Yemeni Houthis, the Yemeni WAC, the Yemeni Principal Government, the Yemeni Pirate Bandit, and the Yemeni ISIS and Al Qaeda Emirate, which want to destroy the world in the Middle East. Other extremist factions coming to the rise in Oman. They are already going on war in neighboring countries. Qatar hospitaling terrorists in some countries. Bahrain about to face massive protest and civil war. Kuwait about to face an invasion by the NATO's and countries. Iraq already faced a many war. Syria under the civil war again. Turkey under the civil war with Kurdistan. And Iran, of course, still on civil war with Balochistan. And there are many civil wars ongoing, but however, we want to stand for the rise against this civil war to save all the Middle East, Africa, Middle East, Afghanistan. All of this country will have to be saved, and there will have to be no problem in this country anymore when the big eyes of the Illuminati, when the big arm of the law will come to destroy its enemy and to keep safe his people, or else there will be total destruction. We blame on that. We don't want to either respond the politics to philosophy, but the philosophy is the ideal for a bit of politics. You don't think? At any rate, we must rise for the Middle East. And not turning around it, if there will be an invasion, we will be called to the entire Emendate on their side, and if the military will don't fight professionally, one day we will land ammunition. We expect from a guerrilla to a huge rebel to rise in the Middle East. As the speech, one day will become famous if I will continue later with the studies. Or I'm not studying right now, but at any rate, if I will study, if I will go to the university and take a laurea in the experience of politics, that will of course be increase my fame in the politics, or research in international politics, diplomacy and public relations. Remember, the word is diplomacy, where we have many allies like same as Cleveland, other ally like Masovia. We don't really want to talk about that because they have many money and they either are serious or are also a portion of 30. Or more of a political figure than a little dreamer. We were close to shrink an alliance with Oxygen one day, but they really don't care because they're going away that and they have many money. Or we are started they are losing independence due to the process, to the multiple military pressure to the multiple legal pressure input by Israel against his fault than IPDI, of course. There were an Israeli Emendate apart which were an Emirate in Gaza, but Israel don't really like that. In reality, Israel don't like the Jews and they like only populism, and this is why we are in desperate need for look for rally in the Middle East. There could be a potential rally, a nice place where to start. Or the Gaza is to be occupied because in the crucial fight we can use the Libyan strategy due to the enemy confused and it will be better. But at any rate the fight will continue until a will become famous. So we will have to stop them by taking them by where they didn't expect it, by the back when they are cruising fire, by the territory that they uncovered or it open front end yet, and then advance and get fly through at anything that we destroy, at any edifice that we blow up, at any tank that we fell under the or fire. This will be disastrous for both sides, of course, but however, we need to destroy the enemy. because the extremism in the Middle East provoke only sufferance. The blood of the civilian runs in the street, and we neither care about the combatants, which can lose all the blood on things that don't appertain they. The combatter coalition fight for $300,000 more, break up with trauma at home, without eyes and without noise. We really care about the life of their combatant, but the instrumentalize they cause they're the only option. We want to do better for them. Thank you very much. In the altre data sconfigge next. Local European right now between Netanyahu and Donald Trump about the peace in the Middle East. Surely Netanyahu will be threatened, but this is what he deserves for the million Gazans killed innocently. While there are other Gazans joining combating by didn't knowing what the consequence would have been. A disaster by both Hamas, Gazawi, and the Israeli forces. The Israeli forces surely to be withdrawn by Gaza at a certain point, but not immediately. The Hamas forces surely to be punished for the attack of 7 October and for other extremist extrages, and the Gazawi resistance prized to be the best corp in the world. They has the mind of a man, spirit of a lion, strength of a bear, and they resisted the Gazawi invasion with all the weapon they had. Compliments.